Freddy again with Freddy Can Fly. Today we are going to be taking a look at the long and awaited Blade 130X. This helicopter is a fully brushless collective pitch heli that's capable of some massive 3D maneuvers. There's been a lot of talk about it, a lot of people were waiting, and by all means it's out of stock everywhere you look right now. So I was lucky enough to get my hands on one, and I'm about 5 flights in, and I wanted to do a review on it. We'll do a everything in the box review. We'll let you know what comes with it. And then also I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the ups and downs, some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like, and some of the errors to look out for to avoid you guys from doing any sort of damage to these. There's been a lot of problems revolved around it. A lot of people are having a lot of difficulties with it, but there are certain things you can look out for to avoid a lot of the user errors. So let's go ahead and take a look at what comes in the kit, and then we'll do a review of the heli itself, and then we'll talk about some of the things to watch out for, and then we'll follow it up with a flight demonstration. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and do a what's in the box real quick. Just for those of you out there interested, this kit does cost $279.99. And it is a bind and fly, so you must provide a programmable radio. I recommend a DX7, DX8, DX6 even, something that's fully programmable. The price is a little steep, but I will tell you this, once you get your hands on the heli, you won't regret it. So obviously included in the kit is going to be the manual. This manual does have the factory setups for many different radios, so that's very useful. I found you did have to tweak quite a bit of the settings, but we will go over that here shortly. Everything else that's included in the kit, I obviously went ahead and made me this nice little case from mine using an old Align T-Rex box. But this is everything that came in the box. So what we're going to have is, of course, the charger. This charger takes about a good 45 minutes or so to an hour to charge the 2-cell battery provided. Hopefully they do come out with means to use a smart balancing charger to charge it a little quicker. So that's what's provided in the kit, is the charger. Also they do provide you with one 2-cell LiPo pack. It is an eflight 300 milliamp battery, 35C. This thing puts out some pretty good power. I mean, it's really hard to bog down the heli using this, and you know, I fly pretty hard smack down 3D, so I'm impressed with it so far, but I would like to see some more upgraded batteries. That would be nice. And then of course we've got the heli itself. We're going to take a closer look at that, so let's set it to the side. It does come fully assembled. They also provide you with the wall outlet to plug into your charger here, so you can basically charge it anywhere that's got an outlet. So that makes it really nice. Then they also provided you with a couple of tools. This is my tail fin, by the way. I have it removed. We'll talk about that here shortly. They did provide you with a couple of tools. I threw in an Align screwdriver for a 250. It's a really useful tool. The screwdriver they provided tends to not fit every screw on there. And then they also threw in another bag with a couple extra gears, a couple extra links, and some little rubber grommets for the canopy. And that's about all that comes in the kit, you guys. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the helicopter. Okay guys, so we've went ahead and got the helicopter here. I did remove the canopy. Let's go ahead and take a look at that for a minute. It's a really nice looking canopy. It's kind of flimsy, papery, like most eflight, E-Sky canopies come these days. But it is kind of nice because they're a little bit hard to break in the event of a crash. So by all means, canopy looks good. It fits on great, and I'm enjoying it so far. Hopefully they come out with some cool custom ones. So taking a look at the heli here. A couple of the really cool key features you will see is obviously the heli is brushless. There's our brushless motor. It's a really nice motor. It's kind of an elongated motor here. So puts out some really good power. It does run pretty hot after a full 3D flight, but it tends to be holding up. So you've got your ESC down here, and what I believe is the fly barless system. I think they're mixed into one, so it's pretty hard mounted. It seems to be pretty good with vibrations. We're going to get a, you know, of course, all plastic head, fly barless. This resembles more of the DFC head, if you will, just swash straight to blade grip. Your original blade, plastic blades, they do have another set in the kit that are weighted. but I prefer these for flying 3D. One cool feature though is for when you're trying to find zero pitch at half stick, you'll see the lines on the blade grips and then the line on the center hub also allow you to align getting zero pitch really easily. It's all visual. You don't got to stick a little pitch gauge on it, so that's really nice. Something to look out for. Obviously you've got your kind of raw circuit board style servos. I think they're called linear servos if I'm not mistaken. They actually work really good, responsive. They're very responsive actually if you can set your radio up and kind of tweak it a little bit. They fly really great. Same with the servo, or tail servo, my bad. Now, one thing that's unique to this heli, being a sub-micro helicopter, is we've got our main gear, connects to our pinion, and then if we follow that up here, see if I can get a good close-up of it, you'll see here that we've got another beveled gear here, and then you've got another beveled gear right in the back. That's what's going to drive the torque tube shaft. This is a torque tube shaft-driven helicopter. So if we come down to the tail end, you'll see that we've got our umbrella gear set up here. We've got a collar that holds our tail shaft on, and then of course our tail pitch slider and our tail blade grips. Now one thing to note with this helicopter, you guys, there's been a lot of bad talk about a really bad tail vibration on windup, and it happens with every single one of these. There's a certain RPM that it hits where this tail just wants to shake. So a good key to flying this, if you have already, is just pick it up off the ground really quick, maybe even toggle into your flight mode at a fast pace. Don't let it sit at that shaking point because it can cause damage. You don't want to let it sit there for a while. Another good key point to set up is you want to make sure that your tail blades are nice and floppy but not sloppy loose. They're stiff in the grip to where there's no back and forth play, but the up and down on them is really smooth. So keep that into note. Same with your main blades. Don't make them sloppy, but make sure they collapse fairly easily. That'll increase the performance on this thing really. It's noticeable. Another thing that I would like for you guys to note when setting up throttle and pitch curves, try to avoid using a V-shaped 3D mode curve. Me being the heli whiz I am, obviously I was like, okay, well I'm going to put a nice good solid V curve in there to compensate for load. Maybe it'll give me better 3D performance. And that constant change in head speed, I believe, caused me to strip out this little main gear on my second flight. This gear here is keyed on this shaft. It's got a keyway, so basically instead of having a round gear, there's a flat spot and then the rest of it's round, so it almost makes a D shape, if you will. And that's what's going to drive your tail. This gear is going to spin that gear based upon how it's keyed on here. And if you round out this gear, then you're going to lose your tail during flight, and it's going to result in a constant pirouette and probably a crash. So I avoided the V curve and put a flat curve, and I have not had that problem since. So something to also consider. You will see I removed my tail fin on here. The tail fin was picking up a lot of the vibration in the tail at that low RPM setting. So I went ahead and removed it, and honestly there's not a whole lot of tail wag left at that beginning spool up. It's still there, it still exists, but it's not quite as extreme, and honestly it vibrated so bad it cracked the tail fin a little bit, so I just went ahead and removed it. Another good thing to note is I went ahead and applied a very small amount of white lithium grease to these two gears here, my main gear, and then the tail gear setup after the second to third flight. I let the gears kind of mesh in well and break in, and after that I greased them up, gave them another couple flights, and you'll notice the harmonics of it. It's not really as noisy as a stock one that comes right out. It's not as chattery, if you will. The gear really helped to mesh in the gear, or the grease helped to mesh in the gears a little bit, and it softened up the sound, and it also helped with the tail vibration once again. So there's some good things to look out for. All in all, if you can get the heli set up right, go ahead and set it up by the manual and make your adjustments from there, but do be aware of the throttle curve settings you need to use, and travel adjustments 100-100. Mine are all currently at 115. It kind of livened up the heli just a little bit. Make sure you're charging your battery properly, and your flight time should be about 4 minutes. Full 3D mode, running 100% flat throttle curve. And just be aware of some of these things, you guys. This is a really delicate machine, so if you take care of it properly, I'm telling you what, this thing performs like a 700 sized heli. There's really nothing you can't do with it. And I will demonstrate that during the flight video. One other thing I did want to talk to you guys about was something in a manual. If you're using a Spectrum DX7, not a 7S, but a Spectrum DX7 radio, there is a typo in the manual. And you're going to see here, if we come over to the DX7 or DX7 SE transmitter setup, it wants us to come over here to gear, and it wants us to set it to gyro. Okay, it wants aux2 inhibited. But now you'll look and see if we come over to gyro sense, it wants it inhibited. Now if you have a Spectrum DX7 or DX7 SE, you'll know that once you enable the gyro menu, you cannot inhibit it, which renders this whole setup useless, because now you have to go through and set up the heading, hold, and rate mode, which it does not, it doesn't comprehend with this particular heli, and it causes problems. So what you'll want to do is this right here needs to be inhibited. Don't set gear to gyro, set gear to inhibit, and that will solve that problem. I have actually told Horizon Hobby about this little typo. Mine currently using a DX7 is set aux2 inhibit, gear inhibit, and it flies fine. The tail is ridiculously solid. But one thing I found, and they actually just released, is there is actually a way, and it's not specified in the manual, there is a way to enter into a programming mode on this electronic speed controller / fly barless system that allows you to adjust the gains for aileron, elevator, and the rudder. And the reason why this is because obviously they're test flown in different parts of the world, different humidity levels, etc., to where they may fly great there, but they may not fly fine here. Me personally, I found I did have to adjust mine. You can find the information on Horizon Hobby's webpage. Just look for the Blade 130X and then find the instructional manuals, and you'll find the gain setups. Alright guys, so that's going to be the end of the review on the Blade 130X. All in all, I would give this thing about a good 4 out of 5 stars. Realistically, with the trouble and headache I had to go through to get this thing set up, of course it's a new product, so give it some time. It deserves a little bit lower, but once I got out and started flying it and got past all the headache stuff, this thing just flies like a dream. It's so much fun, it's so enjoyable, and I've honestly crashed it about a good 4 to 5 times really hard, and I still have yet to see any physical damage. So it can take a beating. So those of you 3D pilots out there trying to learn, this is a great tool, because you can crash it pretty good and pick it right back up. If you do damage it, parts are going to be really expensive as they come out, or inexpensive as they come out, sorry. But as long as you can learn the do's and don'ts, take good mind to the tail, and other things like that, greasing up the gears just slightly and being careful for that vibration point on the tail, I think you guys will really enjoy this helicopter. If you're looking to get one, just go out and get one. Trust me, you won't regret it. It's awesome. It's a great little tool. One of the best 3D performance helis I've ever flown out there that's this size. And to be frank with you, if someone said, do you want a 450 Pro from a line or one of these, I'd probably select one of these. Just for those specific reasons. It's crashable, it's a little bit smaller, it's inexpensive, and it can do everything a 450 can do, and then some. So, Blade 130X gets a 4 out of 5 stars in my book. It's really enjoyable. I love it to death, and I will be putting the flight demo up for you guys to watch that, so watch out for it. And remember guys, if Freddy can fly, so can you. Thanks for watching.